If there's one thing the NFL hates more than anything, it's losing control of its own story. For decades, the league has run on this neat little hierarchy: veterans get respect, rookies earn it. The quarterback economy, as they like to call it, moves at a slow and deliberate pace. Big contracts and big endorsements don't just fall into the lap of a guy who hasn't even finished his first season. And yet, here comes Shedeur Sanders, breaking that whole system into pieces before the ink on his rookie deal has even dried.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
From the outside, this rise might look like an overnight explosion. 1 minute, he's a mid-round rookie still trying to get first-team reps in practice. The next, he's the face of the Browns offense, snagging a $100 million contract extension like he's been running the league for years. But here's the thing. The seeds of this moment were planted a long time ago. Sanders didn't just show up and hope his opportunity would come. He built for it. Thrown into the fire. Let's talk about how unusual this is. Normally, rookies, especially rookie quarterbacks, are wrapped in bubble wrap their first year. They hold clipboards, they run scout team, and if they see the field at all, it's usually in the dying minutes of a blowout game when the outcome is already decided. Sanders? Nope. The Browns skipped the slow burn approach and tossed him straight into the starting lineup despite not having taken consistent first-team practice reps. And here's the real kicker. He didn't just manage the game. He owned it. The moment he stepped onto the field, he looked like a guy who had been running this offense for years. He was reading defenses like a vet, throwing darts into tight coverage, and running the huddle with this calm, unshakable confidence that made even the most skeptical veterans look at him differently. Veterans start to sweat. And trust me, players notice that stuff. Veteran quarterbacks across the league are side-eyeing the situation in Cleveland, even if they'll never admit it on camera. You can feel the tension. Guys who have been working for years to secure long-term contracts are suddenly watching a rookie not only eat into their opportunities but snag endorsement deals before he's even played a full slate of games. Some of the reactions have been subtle, passive-aggressive comments about paying your dues or respecting the process. Others are a little more pointed, hinting that Sanders' rise is more about hype than substance. But here's the thing. None of that chatter holds up when you watch the tape. The kid's the real deal. The quarterback economy has changed. This is the part that's freaking out front offices around the league. Shedeur Sanders isn't just another promising rookie, he's a signal that the quarterback economy is shifting fast. Teams used to have this safe window with rookies. Pay them cheap, develop them slowly, and if they hit big, then open the checkbook. But now, the league is seeing guys like Sanders come in, perform immediately, and, most importantly, generate massive fan engagement. You can't sit a quarterback like that for 2 years anymore. Not when he's selling jerseys, drawing primetime ratings, and making your franchise relevant again. And not when other teams are already wondering how they can get their own Shedeur Sanders. The Browns' gamble pays off. The Browns have been here before, big promises, exciting signings, and then heartbreak. But this feels different. Not because Sanders is some kind of magic wand, but because he's ticking all the boxes: accuracy, composure, leadership, marketability. Andrew Berry, the Browns' GM, took a calculated risk by bringing him in. Plenty of analysts questioned the pick at the time, calling it a luxury for a team with other needs. Now those same analysts are scrambling to explain how they didn't see this coming. The extension, $100 million, early in his career, isn't just about rewarding him for what he's already done. It's about planting the flag and saying, this is our guy, and we're building everything around him. The veteran locker room reaction. Here's where it gets messy, because as much as the fans are celebrating, you better believe there are some veterans in that Browns locker room doing the mental math. They know big quarterback money can shift how resources are allocated. They know the media spotlight is going to follow Sanders everywhere. And they know that if he keeps winning, the offense will bend to his strengths, meaning some veterans might have to adjust their roles. But Sanders isn't just some cocky rookie walking in with a my way or the highway vibe. He's winning over teammates by putting in the work, staying late after practice, grabbing extra reps with receivers, and even picking the brains of defensive veterans to understand how they disguise coverages. That's how you keep a locker room on your side when your rise is this fast. The endorsement avalanche. And then there's the business side. The moment that $100 million extension was signed, the phone calls started pouring in, from sneaker companies, sports drink brands, apparel lines, you name it. Sanders has that rare combination of on-field talent and off-field charisma that makes him a dream for marketers. He's not just another athlete holding a product for a commercial. He's someone who can turn a wrist flex into a viral moment, who can drop a quote in a press conference that gets clipped and replayed a million times. The NFL hasn't really seen this level of endorsement attention for a rookie quarterback since maybe Cam Newton or Patrick Mahomes. And Sanders hasn't even hit his prime yet. Why this terrifies other teams? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Shedeur Sanders isn't just good for Cleveland, he's dangerous for everyone else. If he keeps performing at this level, he's going to force other teams to reevaluate how they scout, draft, and develop quarterbacks. That's going to lead to more rookies getting thrown into starting roles early, more early extensions, and more veteran quarterbacks feeling the squeeze. And for teams that have invested heavily in older quarterbacks, this could get ugly, because fans are watching Sanders and asking, why can't we have that? The NFL's new era. Make no mistake, this is bigger than just one player. Sanders is part of a wave of young quarterbacks who aren't content to wait their turn. They're ready now, they're marketable now, and they're forcing the league to adapt whether it wants to or not. The old rules about waiting, earning respect over years, and working quietly in the background, those rules are being rewritten in real time. And the craziest part? Sanders is just getting started. He hasn't even faced a full season's worth of defensive adjustments yet. He hasn't hit his ceiling. If this is what he looks like now, calm, confident, and cashing checks, what's year 3 going to look like? The Browns' new identity. For decades, Cleveland's identity has been, let's be honest, unstable at best. But now, with Sanders under center and locked up for the foreseeable future, the franchise finally has a face, a voice, and a reason for national relevance. The Browns aren't just trying to make the playoffs anymore, they're talking about building a championship window. And every time Sanders walks onto the field, that vision feels more real. When the deal went public, it didn't just dominate the sports shows, it hijacked them. Every single debate table was suddenly, Shedeur this, Shedeur that. Analysts who hadn't even bothered to learn how to spell his name a few months ago were suddenly doing deep dives on his college film like they'd been tracking him since Pop Warner. Front offices scrambled. Agents scrambled harder. This wasn't just a contract. It was a template that other young quarterbacks and their representatives would now point to in negotiations. And it wasn't the money alone, it was the timing. Rookies don't get 9-figure deals before they've played a full season, until now. The Browns' bold internal messaging. Inside the Browns' headquarters, the move wasn't just about locking up their guy, it was about making a statement to every player in that building: we reward production, not politics. That was huge, because NFL locker rooms run on respect. When the organization shows that they'll take a chance on a young player who earns it, rather than clinging to seniority, it lights a fire under everyone. And this wasn't just lip service. The Browns made sure to announce the deal in front of the team. Players saw Sanders sign. They saw Barry shake his hand. They saw the commitment, and it sent a ripple through the roster. The immediate market impact. Quarterback agents from around the league smelled opportunity. Within days, there were whispers of other young QBs, some starters, some backups, pushing their teams for contract talks far earlier than planned. But here's the thing, most of them didn't have what Sanders had. It wasn't just his stats, it was the momentum. He had an entire city behind him. His jersey sales were breaking records. He was pulling highlight plays every week, turning casual fans into believers. Without that, the number just doesn't get that high, that fast. Veteran quarterbacks start looking over their shoulders. This is where it got spicy. Some veterans, especially those with shaky job security, couldn't ignore what was happening in Cleveland. You'd hear little snipes in interviews, comments about flash-in-the-pan hype or staying power being more important than quick contracts. Translation: we're nervous. Because the truth is, The NFL is a copycat league. If Sanders' extension leads to wins, other teams will follow the model, and that could mean the end of those multi-year, sit-and-learn development tracks for rookies. The Sanders effect on the Browns' playbook. One thing you don't drop $100 million on is a quarterback you don't plan to feature heavily. Stefanski and the offensive staff knew they had to evolve. The playbook started expanding around Sanders' strengths, more quick-decision RPOs, more layered passing concepts that took advantage of his vision, and deep shot designs to keep defenses from crowding the line. Even the cadence and tempo changed. Practices ran at a faster clip. The offense started leaning into Sanders' ability to call quick audibles and exploit mismatches. And suddenly, the Browns didn't look like the slow, methodical team of past years. They looked dangerous. Off-field leadership moves. Sanders didn't waste the moment. He could have coasted on the new contract, soaked up the media love, and let the hype carry him. But instead he doubled down. He started organizing off-site throwing sessions with his receivers. He brought the offensive line out for dinners, paid for, of course. He made a point of attending defensive meetings to understand their schemes better. One veteran told a reporter, "You can tell the money didn't change him. If anything, it made him hungrier." That's scary for the rest of the league. The media machine goes full throttle. Now that he was the $100 million man, every single thing Sanders did became news. New haircut? It's trending. Pre-game suit? Photographers swarm. A casual one-liner in a press conference? It's clipped into a TikTok that racks up millions of views. And Nike, already an early backer, pounced. They rolled out a new ad campaign within a week of the extension, positioning Sanders not just as a player, but as the face of the league's new era. The Browns' business boom. You can't overstate the financial ripple. Season tickets sold out faster than in decades. The team's store was slammed, lines out the door for anything with Sanders' name on it. Sponsorship interest spiked. The Browns weren't just a football team anymore. They were an entertainment brand with a superstar quarterback front and center. The contract paid for itself in PR and merch before Sanders had even taken another snap. Impact on draft philosophy. The ripple effect went beyond Cleveland. Teams drafting in the next cycle were suddenly more willing to take risks on quarterbacks with personality and brand power, not just raw arm talent. The thinking was simple. If a rookie can energize a fan base and fill stadiums, you don't wait to see if they can be NFL ready in 2 years. You give them the ball and let them sink or swim. The NFL's image problem or solution? This is where the league office comes in. On one hand, they love having a fresh star like Sanders. It's good for ratings, good for social media, good for business. On the other hand, they worry about what happens when this becomes the expectation. If every rookie star demands early extensions, the salary cap could get messy fast. But you can bet they won't say that too loudly when Sanders is pulling record viewership numbers in prime time. Opponents game planning differently. By mid-season, defensive coordinators were treating Sanders like a seasoned vet. Exotic blitz packages. Disguised coverages. Trying to bait him into mistakes. And yet, week after week, he stayed composed. The biggest compliment you can get as a young quarterback is when the other team starts throwing the kitchen sink at you, and you're still standing at the end of the game. The contract becomes a rallying point. Here's the part that nobody saw coming. Instead of creating jealousy, the extension actually became a rallying point for the Browns. Players started wearing QB1 hats in the locker room. Practice sessions had a different energy. It wasn't just about Sanders, it was about proving that this investment was going to pay off in wins, not just headlines. The long game for Cleveland. With Sanders locked up, Barry could now plan the next 5 years with clarity. The roster could be built knowing exactly who the centerpiece was. Cap space decisions were made with his prime in mind. No more patchwork QB plan years. The Browns finally had stability at the most important position in sports. Rookie no more. By the end of that first year post-extension, Sanders didn't feel like a rookie anymore. He felt like the guy. The locker room, the city, and even the league had adjusted to the idea that Shedeur Sanders wasn't a flash in the pan. He was a problem defenses were going to have to deal with for a long time. By the holidays, Sanders had gone beyond being just the quarterback. He was Cleveland. He was front and center in Cavs halftime shows, throwing first pitches for the Guardians, and starring in local commercials where the product barely mattered. It was his presence that sold it. For a city that had long been starved for sustained football excellence, this was new territory. And the Browns front office knew they had to protect it. The playoff push. That season, Cleveland finished 12-5, best record in years. The offense, designed fully around Sanders' strengths, ranked top 5 in scoring. His stat line? 4,102 yards, 33 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, a passer rating of 104.3. In the wild card game against the Chargers, Sanders led a 92-yard, 2-minute drill to win 28-27, hitting Njoku on a tight end seam with 4 seconds left. That drive instantly became a franchise highlight. The Browns lost in the divisional round to the Bills, but by then the point was made, this wasn't a Cinderella season. This was a foundation. Off-season chaos, the copycat effect. The day after the Super Bowl, 2 other young QBs, both in their second year, publicly hinted they wanted early extensions, like Sanders. Their agents were reportedly using his contract as leverage in negotiations. This was the part the NFL didn't love. The salary cap is designed to give teams flexibility with rookie deals, but Sanders' contract blurred the lines. If enough teams followed Cleveland's lead, the league's economic balance could tilt fast. And in the background, the NFLPA was watching closely, knowing this could be the first domino in a bigger shift toward early player empowerment. Marketing overdrive. By his third offseason, Shedeur had major endorsements with Nike, Gatorade, Beats, and even a custom fragrance deal, Prime Time, because of course. His social media presence rivaled the league's own channels in engagement. And here's the genius. Every single brand tie-in was woven with Cleveland pride. Commercials shot in the city. Local landmarks in the background. Fans in the ad. It turned the Browns into more than a football team. It turned them into a movement. The Watson resolution. The other inevitable storyline was Deshaun Watson. You can't pay 2 quarterbacks top-tier money forever. The Browns tried to spin it as 2 great options, but everyone knew they'd eventually have to move on from Watson. The trade finally came before year 3, Watson to a QB-needy NFC team for a first-rounder and a veteran corner. It was the final acknowledgement of what everyone had known for a year. Sanders was the guy. No more hedging. No more controversy. League-wide reaction to the trade. If the $100 million deal was a tremor, Watson's trade was an earthquake. Suddenly, it was crystal clear that the Browns had torn up the traditional QB succession playbook and come out ahead. Owners started asking their GMs, "Who's our Shedeur?" Agents started pushing to remove language in rookie contracts that delayed renegotiations. The ripple effect was everywhere. The Browns' playbook evolution. With Watson gone and the offense completely tailored to Sanders, Stefanski unleashed the full arsenal, motion-heavy looks, layered passing schemes, and tempo changes that kept defenses guessing. Sanders had the freedom to audible at will, and it showed. The Browns' time of possession numbers skyrocketed, their third down efficiency jumped, and Sanders became one of the league leaders in explosive plays. Year 3, the MVP buzz. It's one thing to be a $100 million quarterback. It's another to live up to it. By mid-season of Year 3, Sanders was firmly in the MVP conversation. Week 9 versus the Ravens was the statement game. 347 yards, 4 TDs, 0 turnovers, and a dagger 55-yard bomb to Cooper in the fourth quarter to seal the win. Cleveland was 8-1, and the Browns weren't just fun anymore. They were feared. The NFL's image shift. The league had fully embraced Sanders by now. He was getting the primetime holiday games, the playoff hype packages, the mic'd up specials. And why wouldn't they? He was ratings gold. But in a twist, the league also had to quietly deal with the reality that Sanders was becoming a symbol of player empowerment. Other rookies were referencing him in contract talks. Other teams were reshaping their scouting priorities, looking for the next ready-now QB instead of developmental projects. The legacy conversation starts early. It's rare for a quarterback to have legacy talk before year 4, but Sanders wasn't a normal case. Analysts were already debating whether this was the start of a Mahomes-like career trajectory, or if the NFL would eventually adjust to slow him down. But the numbers didn't lie. In his first 3 years, Sanders had already shattered rookie passing records, playoff appearance milestones, and jersey sales benchmarks. The Browns' window opens wide. The combination of Sanders' cap-friendly early extension structure and his immediate elite play gave Cleveland something they hadn't had in decades, a multi-year Super Bowl window. Barry loaded up the defense, fortified the offensive line, and doubled down on speed at wideout. Every single roster decision was made with one question in mind: will this help Shedeur win now,